What's up everyone, Tommy with Studio Sense here. Thanks so much for tuning in to today's video. Got a new release to talk about today. It was released several months ago, but it's new enough that it's something you might want to potentially discover for your next fragrance rotation. Because this line, let me just tell you, is definitely one of the most accessible luxury lines. I am, of course, talking about the fragrance brand Chopard. Now, Chopard is very well known for making fine jewelry, excellent watches similar to like Tag Heuer, but a lot of people don't realize they make amazing designer fragrances because they're very, very niche-like in quality. So what we're going to be talking about today is the newest release in the Molla-Key line, the Chopard Molla-Key line, and that is Cedar Malaki. So when we return, we're going to take a closer look at this new release. I've got that and more coming up, so stay tuned. Welcome back everyone. So today we're talking about the brand new Chopard release, and guys, let me just tell you, I'm super excited about this one. It is Chopard Cedar Malaki. The name, there's several different ways that you can say it. It looks like Molla-Key to me, but it's actually pronounced Molla-Key or a variation thereof. This line is a fantastic luxury line, and it's one of the very few that's super accessible. And what I mean by accessible is the price is perfect for anyone to own. The presentation, the overall aroma of each of the line is impeccable, and it's very, very much niche-like. And so that's the expectation for Cedar Malaki. So we're going to take a look at the fragrance, talk about the notes, the makeup, the formula, what it's best used for, all that good stuff that we typically do in first impressions. But before we do anything else, let's take a quick look at that wonderful presentation. The box is a combination of gold and green, which is appropriate, seeing that it's just a cedar fragrance. Chopard Cedar Malaki is in gold. It is an 80 ml bottle, 2.7 fluid ounces, eau de parfum concentration. Continuing that gold and green thematic elements and colors, the nameplate says Chopard Cedar Malaki with a dark background and gold lettering. The bottle's made out of heavy glass and the cap is metal. Reminds one of the actual Chopard watches that are tooled. Inside the lid is plastic, and the atomizer is continuing the gold elements of the bottle, a metallic gold. On the bottom of the bottle is an adhesive sticker with additional information, including the batch code of 2228001. So one of the best elements of the Chopard Molla-Key line is the presentation. These bottles are all epic looking. You may feel like you're not getting your money's worth because it is only 80 ml as opposed to 100 ml or 125 ml in the case of some brands, but that's really not the case, especially when you consider the quality of what you're getting inside the bottle, because each of their fragrances have been outstanding in terms of aroma, in terms of how they carry themselves, in terms of the quality of the juice itself. Speaking of juice, now that we've taken a quick look at the presentation, really like this look. By the way, like several of the line, you can actually see through the bottle. The bottle itself is tinted green, so I don't know if the juice is colorized or not, but it's definitely the bottle that is kind of a dark green, which is representative, of course, of cedar. So let's talk about the notes that are in Chopard Cedar Malaki. What are the notes that make up the formula? Chopard Cedar Malaki features top notes of grapefruit, cypress, sage, cardamom, and lavender, with heart notes of Lebanon cedar, Virginia cedar, and Atlas cedar, and Nootka cypress. Resting on a base of tonka bean, cypriol, and labdanum. So pretty comprehensive formula, and I really appreciate the fact that they release pretty much all of the notes, or at least it looks like they're releasing all of the notes instead of just the highlights, which is the trend nowadays. So we can kind of get more of an idea without even smelling the fragrance of what it's going to be like, the kind of overall aroma that it's going to carry. First of all, I definitely want to let you guys know, for all of you out there that are in regions that are experiencing cold weather right now, and we're talking about a cedar-based fragrance, and you're worried about, well, why are we talking about this? Why doesn't he wait until, warmer weather, because it's a cedar fragrance? That's something that you typically wear in warmer weather. This is definitely something that you can rock out in cold weather. Why? It is very ambery. This is one of those darker, richer, finely tuned and layered type of fragrances. It's a bit heavier than your typical cedar based or just kind of woodsy scent. And so it's definitely something that you can wear in cooler weather. And so that makes it even more appropriate that we're talking about it now as a new release. So the first thing that you notice is that, right, that it's very resinous, very amber oriented. So a bit heavier, muskier kind of fragrance. And that immediately associates thoughts of the line, the Molla-Key line. So we've got several of the line that are very amber oriented. Amber Molla-Key, there's also oud Molla-Key to keep in mind. Both of those are very much related to the cedar. Only when it starts to dry down do you get more of that sense of, not only does it have the resinous facets, but also very woodsy green facets as well. Opening immediately with just a hint of fruit with the grapefruit, but primarily you're getting that combination of spice with that nutty, kind of richly creamy cardamom and sage, as well as just a hint of lavender to buoy the combination of notes there to kind of bind them together. The open is extremely pleasant, but one of my favorite facets of this fragrance, it doesn't lose that pleasantness the more that it dries down. You can definitely tell the difference from the open to the mid to the base, more from the open to the base. The mid is just kind of a middle distance in terms of smelling a difference. It carries such a pleasant aroma in the air after spraying it on. It smells wonderful in the air, but on your skin it actually maintains a bit of more kind of a musky, woodsy, kind of a darker scent than it does straight from the bottle. That's something I think is specific to Chopard and the quality of fragrance oils that they use in their product, in the Molla-Key line. What's interesting is that you can take other designer brands that make woodsy or wood-oriented fragrances, such as, for example, Burberry Hero, right? Burberry Hero has 3 different kinds of cedars, just like Cedar Malaki. They've got Virginia cedar, Atlas cedar, and another regional location that's specific, that grows cedar specific to their area, and they do not smell at all alike, not even remotely similar. I love the cedar orientation of the Molla-Key line in this particular fragrance, so much more than Burberry Hero. Although I'm not knocking it as a fragrance, very popular fragrance, very good fragrance for good reason, but it doesn't carry the luxury feel and the density that Cedar Malaki has. If you like that kind of cedar fragrance, similar to Armani Eau de Cedre, this is kind of like a darker version of that, a more masculine, heavier version, you're going to really like this as a fragrance to wear. It's going to be one of those great all-around woodsy fragrances that you can wear at any time. Again, that's even more appropriate for cooler weather because it's just a bit heavier in its composition. Chopard is no slouch or neophyte when it comes to cedar fragrances. They've actually released a cedar fragrance prior to this one called Noble Cedar, and it's one of my favorite really dry, realistic cedar fragrances. If you like your cedar with no other accoutrements, very woodsy, tree-oriented, realistic cedar, Noble Cedar is what you want to go for. But I do think that in terms of being more crowd-pleasing and a lot more people liking the aroma of the fragrance, that Cedar Malaki is going to be the pick for most people for a great woodsy scent. I think they've done a wonderful job of making this very versatile. As I mentioned, it's going to be great for cooler weather, but it's not one of those fragrances that is an oriental spicy fougere, but it just so happens to be a little bit denser, a little bit heavier, and can be perfect for cooler weather, but you can also wear it in the warmer climes. I would think that it's not going to hold up very well in high heat. I hope that I'm wrong, but as a first impressions, I'm going to recommend staying away from the high heat. But right now, the cooler weather or the room temperature, which is 70+ degrees, it wears perfectly well. Great sillage, great wake or trail that it creates within 2 to 3 feet the first several hours that you're wearing it. In terms of concentration of oils, it's similar to all of the line, which are eau de parfum. So in terms of versatility, you're going to be able to wear it in just about any kind of weather, any kind of situation. Being a luxury brand, it automatically feels a bit dressed up. Like, this feels like a luxury brand. It wears like a luxury brand, and appropriately, it smells like a luxury brand. This can definitely be worn dressed up, but it also can be a signature scent. In whatever aspect your life dictates how you dress, this is going to go along perfectly with it. And it's not going to be necessarily a t-shirt and jeans kind of raking the yard or mowing the yard or whatever kind of fragrance, because again, it carries that whole luxury idea in the aroma itself. And you'll see what I mean. You know what I mean if you've ever smelled one of the Molla-Key fragrances. In the line, it's exactly like that. Definitely something that would be work appropriate. Being a little bit heavier of a fragrance though, just be careful about how many sprays, just like anything else. Where anyone is going to be sensitive to aromas, you definitely want to dial back on the sprays. In terms of cost, it's still got that new release cost depending upon where you look, but you can actually find it for a fantastic deal right now. If you go to Harrods, it is $126 for 80 ml, which sounds like a lot. It is kind of a lot, but again, it's a luxury brand, so a lot of people are going to pay that. But most people don't realize that at Joma Shop, and I've included a link in the description as always, it is on sale right now for $49.99, and I think that you can still get it before Christmas if you order right now as you're viewing this video. I don't think too many hours after this video releases, so that's a fantastic price in my book, and I would definitely get it from Joma Shop if you're gonna get it. So at the $49.99 price point, it is what I would consider a gem, albeit not hidden because it's a new release and hasn't been out long enough to be considered a hidden gem. Grab it up while you can, guys. It's a great, great fragrance for those of you that enjoy cedar-oriented fragrances. Well guys, that's it for my 2 cents on this brand new release, or fairly new release. It's been out again for several months now. If you've gotten your hands on this one, please let me know what your thoughts are. I really enjoy it. I can't wait to put it through its paces and to give you guys a full-on review of how it wears and the different facets of Chopard Cedar Malaki. Thanks so much for tuning in to today's First Impressions. As always, thank you so much for your continued support on my channel. I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video review.